professor. I am not a professor in the academic sense of the term. Yes, I suffer from a disease which is known as professoritis. So that is a confession. And thank you, Anna, for having me here. It's really a pleasure and privilege to meet young people and to share ideas with them. And thank you very much to the Liberty Group for having supported this venture, and of course to the publishers for taking the risk of publishing something from an author who is sitting far away in India actually. Thank you so much. And Miguel of CEO Word, he has been in touch with me for the last 1.5 to 2 years, and we have had several peer group discussions, and those have helped so many people to clarify and solve their managerial problems, what they face on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Once when I was working with a very tough boss who would not grant a leave irrespective of what I tell him, I am sorry I had to tell him that my mother-in-law has died. It's very easy to kill your mother-in-law. But then how many times can you kill your mother-in-law? You get only one, maybe. Some people are lucky, they might have more. So the thing is that when we become very keen to take leave, and leave is not granted, are we really able to apply our minds to the work at hand? Most likely not, because we'll report for work, but we'll be working like a zombie or more like a mechanized robot, and say that, okay, we are here physically. Our soul and our mind may be somewhere else, identifying with some other problem and thinking about something else. So that is what the challenge of work-life harmony is all about. Welcome to this session, and I feel that there are two factors which disrupt work-life harmony. You can categorize them as internal and external. External factors are the ones which we find it very easy to blame those factors, because we are not responsible for those factors. Somebody else is responsible. The company culture could be bad. The commitments in different stages of life we may be having, those are different. There are snakes in the grass, colleagues who come and bite you, and they will talk ill of the management in the at the lunchtime. But Sunday you will find them supplying groceries to the boss's wife. And there are bosses who terrorize. And there are bosses who represent, to my mind, what Einstein proposed, the theory of relativity. The connection here is that once I was working with such a tough boss that working with him for 6 months was like working for 10 years actually. It was that tough. So I feel that there is a connection between what Einstein said and what we face in the work life. Okay, coming to internal. What are the internal factors? We are talking about ambition in excess of our own capabilities. Absence of a personal SWOT analysis. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I hope that's clear. Then the second factor is perception of stress. Absence of eustress, presence of distress. There are some professors whose name I forget. They brought in this concept of eustress and distress. Eustress is when you go, when you are under pressure to get ready to meet your boyfriend or girlfriend or your beloved. That is eustress. That's a positive stress. We all don't mind that stress actually, because we love the goal and we are passionate about that goal. Distress is what we normally call as stress. we have a lower inner resilience. In other words, that our inner strength may be a little less. Therefore, we get swayed very easily by external circumstances. So we have a lesser capacity to face the ups and downs of life. Imbalance between mind and heart. So the heart says something, we are emotional about it. The mind is very divisive in nature. It goes on analyzing things actually. So from this movie Jerry Maguire, if you remember, there is this quote, if this is empty, your heart, this doesn't matter, that is your head. Coming to external, let's talk about company culture. What kind of companies do you feel exist? Does anybody have any classification of the kind of companies that we have? Would anybody like to give a try?
We can say good and bad.
I normally divide them in 3 categories with your permission.
Of course.
The jungle kind, the circus kind, and the zoo kind. So there are not many companies which believe, there is an underlying belief that a manager's efficiency and effectiveness on the job is directly proportional to the number of hours put at work. So if you are there before the boss comes in the morning, and if you leave after the boss has left, you are great actually. You are definitely due for a promotion. Then there is a company culture which is designed to enforce a check-in time at the office, but there is no check-out time. You can stay as long as you wish to, and the management would love you for that actually. The third assumption is that the manager is so much obliged for the job that he has got from the company that the poor fellow has no life outside the work. This is his only life. If he's got to attend to, let us say, his wife's sickness or his kid is having a parent-teacher meeting in the school or something, it doesn't really matter to the manager. And yes, I found people noticing the time you write a mail actually. So if you write a mail which is written at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, you are very hard working. And technology has made the task of switching off even more difficult for all of us actually. We get so much addicted to internet, mobiles, smartphones, pads, whatever you call it. Difficult to switch off. Commitments at different stages of life. Raising a family, so you pass through various phases there. Parents, concerns about parents, their health, and of course financial matters, and there could be personal issues. We were talking about snakes in the grass, but I think I have already explained that because I was trying to refer to some colleagues who would backbite or some subordinates who would find it very convenient to report your things back to your boss's boss. So when you get shouting at the boss, it is from your boss, but it is actually coming from a snake in the grass. And we are able to figure it out. And incidentally, it does not help to change the company, because everywhere you will find some snakes in the grass and some lion bosses, etc. But the bosses who terrorize. Bosses who make 6-month work under them look like 10 years. There you are, theory of relativity. So I have an interpretation with due respect to the great man who propounded this formula. Our energy and enthusiasm to perform a job or a task is a product of what? 2 factors. Our mental peace and our mental and physical capacity squared. The lesser the capacity, the faster it comes down. And when we achieve a better work-life balance, we improve our inner peace as well as our capacity to perform. Absence of a personal SWOT analysis. I find that we waste a lot of time in our lives trying to understand ourselves. We are very happy criticizing others, dissecting others, analyzing others' behaviors, but when it comes to understanding what is it that we want in life, well, we are always a little short when it comes to that. And I think this is one of the factors which results into an imbalance. We were talking about stress. I would like to draw your attention to the perception of stress, what you feel about it. If a boss has shouted at us, let us say two of us, any two of us, I may be so sensitive that I may not sleep for a night. I may even consider the thought of committing suicide in an extreme case. I do not do that, but just the second person would just go along happy-go-lucky and whistling, and nothing happens to him, and next morning he's back on his desk and he doesn't care much about whatever is happening. So you have an overload which is just right. You have too much information overload, and on some subjects, some topics, you have no information at all actually. All these are distress or stressful situations. So to sum up, I would say that it is directly proportional to the external stimulus. There is something negative happening outside of us and we don't have a control over it. The more severe that change or that situation is, the more we get affected by it. The good news is that it is inversely proportional. I'm talking about stress. Inversely proportional to the strength that we have within. So there are some people who have a stronger personality, and I won't call them thick-skinned, but they just have a stronger personality. They are able to detach themselves from a situation, look at it more objectively, analyze it, and build on that failure or on that stress to convert it into a positive experience. By personality type, we are all perhaps familiar with type A and type B. So, like, even if I suffer from professoritis, I will not go into that. Distress, it can be handled positively. One, I would suggest you are considering the option of art of creative dissatisfaction. You are dissatisfied with something that you have done. You may be aiming for perfection or excellence. But at the same time, you are creatively dissatisfied. You are not negatively dissatisfied. You don't go back to bed at night and feel, oh, I could have done this better, my God, let me delete that mail, let me send another corrected mail, which you cannot do actually. So if you have a creative dissatisfaction, it is a positive kind of a dissatisfaction which leads you to improve your own performance. Loosening up and letting go, not getting too tense about a particular situation. Of course, a dash of humor, and meditation I would recommend because it helps you to connect with your heart and with your inner self, to analyze your own thoughts better, and you are able to prioritize things better. So that's what happens. Too much of stress, we become like zombies. Imbalance between mind and heart. So we have heard these three terms: intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient. Are we familiar with these three terms? IQ, surely yes, all of us understand. But I have a belief, and let me propose it for your consideration, that IQ is something which helps us more in our academic lives and in our academic pursuits. I'm not saying it is useless, it is very, very useful. even in a job or later in life. But later in life we discover that once we enter a career, we are pursuing a career, it is the emotional quotient which helps us to deal better with people, to deal better with situations, and therefore have hopefully lesser stress. The third one, spiritual quotient, is about understanding the other person's requirements a little better, to be a better listener, to be more empathic in nature, not emotional but empathic in nature. We will just look at this in a little bit of detail. So what do? We have typically analyzed the position, and we have said external factors, internal factors. Within external, 1, 2, 3, 4. Within internal, 1, 2, 3, 4. But where do we go from here? What do we do about it? Let's talk about company culture. If you remember the very first slide where we were talking about work-life harmony, I would like to point out to you that I had avoided using a hyphen in between work and life, which normally people do. Any guesses as to why that hyphen is not required? Work and life.
There is not an actual separation between the two.
Okay, fine, good. Because life, I am trying to say, life is much bigger. Work is a subset or a part of life. So when we unwittingly or unknowingly, when we put a hyphen in between the two, it's, to my mind, it looks as if we are trying to equate work and life. Work and life, equal to life. No, that equation does not work out. There is this beautiful movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where you have this person saying life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. And family time is important. That is the finest line a man will walk between success at work and success at home. And success at home implies what? What is meant by success at home? Positive relations at home, harmony at home, a nice, neat, comfortable, cozy bed to sleep in, decent kids, and generally great relationship within the family members. And there is nothing which can, no amount of money which can actually compensate for the absence of that. That's what we are discussing here. So take a vacation once in a while and put an auto response of the kind which I have suggested here. If anybody sends you a mail, you can thank the person, and you have the option of telling the person that you happen to be on Mars. Internet connectivity is very poor. Once you are back to Earth, you will reply. In between, if there is an emergency, they can always get in touch with you. Chase excellence and go easy on perfection. I must tell you that the biggest business group in India, Tata's, the house of Tata's, where I spent a lot of time, and Mr. J.R.D. Tata, who is a very well-known, internationally known figure, he is no more, of course. So once he was asked that you believe in excellence, he said, no, I don't like excellence. I am talking about striving for perfection. To aim for perfection, you achieve excellence. If you aim for excellence, you go a little down. Actually, you don't even achieve excellence. But I would say that for the purposes of this topic, and not to become very tense in life, because those who are perfectionists, I myself hold myself to be one, maybe rightly or wrongly. I think my publishers can vouch for that actually. Because there was something which was there in the back of my mind, and we had a discussion about it, and it came to excellence, and the book is in your hands actually. Thank you very much, sir, for that. You have a lot of small stuff you keep, I mean, please don't take this personally, the term you. By you, I am saying us, okay? Sorry for that, if I have offended anyone. So we sweat over small stuff, whether, let us say, coming for the presentation, the USB will work or not, laptop will be there or not, screen will be there or not, audience will be there or not. There could be so many questions, and one could become very stressful about that. There is no need. You can just let things pass, go with the flow, and things will happen. In India, we have a very famous scripture. You might have heard of it, the Bhagavad Gita. It talks about detachment. Detachment with results, not with the action. In, let us say, Western language, I would say be ruthlessly objective. But I must caution you that there are two kinds of detachments. One is the corporate level detachment. Corporate level detachment happens every year when we are supposed to get a promotion or an increment. So that time the management looks at us and they put us through a big rigmarole of the performance appraisal system, and the result is no increment. You are doing your job. Feel detached about it. Don't be worried about the result or the outcome. You are putting in efforts. So that is the corporate level of detachment. I am talking about the personal level of detachment. When we take up a job, let us not get so engrossed with it that we lose ourselves completely. We should be able to stand back and look at it and say, okay, how to do it better. So Alice in Wonderland, I am sure most of you might have seen this movie. So if you suffer from a decision fatigue, stress comes in. So better to put all routine decision making in an autopilot mode, so you get a lot of free time. And as we go more and more towards artificial intelligence and robotics and all those developments, I think our wish to be free of the routine decision making may just come true. There is a beautiful movie where Julia Roberts has acted. You lose balance, you lose power. So manage technology, use it, try not to be a slave to it. This Christmas, which just went past, it was my first one in Europe in my life. And evening prior to that, there was a big gathering, and there were a lot of family members who had come, and there were something like 12, 14 people together, all with their smartphones, iPads, technical gizmos and everything. And a decision was taken that tomorrow would be internet free day. Anybody who is seen looking at any of his or her technical gizmos will have to pay for the dinner that night, for all 16 of them actually. So nobody looked at it the next day. We had a blast. We were talking to each other, we were criticizing each other, we were pulling each other's legs, and we had a great time generally. So it's about controlling technology, not allowing technology to control us, scheduling our priorities, planning in advance. And let's take up a career we are passionate about. This is where, allow me to take you back to eustress and distress. So if we have a job that we love doing it, and I'm sure you have heard this spoken 100 times, but perhaps in 90% of the cases it does not happen that way. The problem is there. You may want it, but you may not get it. These are two different things. So here we are. IQ to EQ to SQ. Here you will find my definition of an ideal boss. This ideal boss with no hair like me. So he is driving his business using his spiritual quotient, SQ. And IQ and EQ are the backside small wheels which have helped him to come to that stage. So a balance between the three quotients is what I am saying is strictly required to reduce the stress in our lives and to bring about a better harmony between work and life. So the benefits of SQ. Your overworked brain, it gets some rest. Try using your heart to decide upon an issue. And I am not talking about affairs of the heart in that sense of the term. Let us say once I had to tell a person who was very well performing in his job, I had to sort of sack him. And it was very tough for me to sort of call him and look him in the eye and tell him that this is what it is, etc., etc. Then that night I went on thinking about it, and I thought about his family and his position and what would happen to him once he loses his job, etc. And an idea struck me, and next morning when we had the meeting, I asked him about his situation, the financial commitment, the family life, everything. Not to humor him artificially, but genuinely. And I could see that what he was passionate about, I could possibly help him to get a job of that nature in 3 months' time. And I told him that much, and he happily went off. And luckily he got that assignment also. And he continues to be somehow very grateful to me till date, and is in touch. So small doses of gratitude and compassion, please help. Being aware of ourselves and being conscious of what is happening within us. Are we feeling happy? Are we feeling sad? Are we feeling tense? If we just, I think human beings, we are the only species on the earth which have this capacity to be able to get out of ourselves and to see ourselves as if a camera is there recording us. Humility helps, it never killed anyone. And developing equanimity helps. Is the term equanimity too difficult?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Please stop me, if there is any such roadblock on the way. It is about being at the same level emotionally, whether the external circumstances are good or bad. All we have to do is to see one of those action movies, from Hollywood, and we will know how the hero maintains his mental balance and kills all the bad guys, etc. So see, here is one quote which I really like. People here are funny. They work so hard at living, they forget how to live. So let us start living. This is a question to which my professoritis disease has still not helped me to find an answer to. So I am leaving it open to the audience partly. How do we make our workplaces healthier and happier? Managements are always interested in results, profits, top lines, bottom lines. And we can't really blame them for that. But could we have a situation where we find that the employees are happier and therefore healthier and therefore they put in their best? What do we do? How do we create a culture in a company which makes the employees happier So like school kids, when we go to office in the morning, we are like, at evening we run out of office. Why does this happen? Because possibly we are facing a stressful situation which we are not able to cope with. So perhaps the answer lies, and I am saying perhaps, to for the managements to realize and have a culture in the company which would bring a smile once in a while on the faces of their executives and managers. Now, it is not very difficult to do it. It doesn't cost much money also. It's just a question of thinking about it and enabling it to happen actually. The key word here is enabling it to happen. I mean, I can't walk up to one person and say that, hello, smile. I'm the worst HR manager of that company actually. But if I am able to maybe create a break in a very serious looking official meeting, crack a joke in between, which would connect with the people. At lunchtime, I can explain to my people that, look, you are so very lucky that you are working 14 hours in a day here in the office. Reason? Simple. Your spouse has that much less time to torment you at home. So you are getting mental peace. Plus salary also I am paying. So that could be the Stephen Covey is very well respected and I also like him. He has said in his book that the physical dimension involves caring effectively for our physical body, eating the right kinds of foods, getting sufficient rest and relaxation, and exercising on a regular basis. And in his next book, that is the 8th habit, he also talks about the soul and the inner connection. That's what we are discussing today when we talk about the spiritual connection. Mentally getting connected to our inner selves. Listening to our inner voice, which is always speaking to us or trying to tell us that something is happening, how are you feeling, etc. You already know that there is this book getting released, launched today. I want to thank you all for your presence. Obrigado. I'm saying correctly. And before I wound up, I forgot to introduce myself. I am a management postgraduate from one of the better known universities in India. From the pre-Jurassic period, as I would call it. 40 years back, they decided to award me a degree and they were happy that I went off the campus. After that, I spent a lot of time with very large size organizations and very small, tiny size organizations. And I could see the differences and the similarities and the challenges that different organizations face. And presently I am engaged with, other than CEO world of course, I am engaged with a couple of NGOs which work in the field of management and spirituality. And I am a frequent guest lecturer who keeps on boarding people from time to time. That's about it. Any questions? I'll be happy to.
I have one question. Do you think that millennials will be more prepared to deal with this work-life balance?
I think the task belongs to us possibly. If we are able to sort of convey messages which would enable them to be prepared for the future. Personally, I am of the opinion that with advances in technology, every passing decade, possibly the entropy of the system is going up, the disorder is going up, the chaos is going up, the speed at which the information gets fed into us is going up. And millennials who do well, provided they have this quality of equanimity which I was trying to explain, of having an inner strength, which will be all the more necessary in the times to come. That's my statement. Thank you.
Can you explain a little bit more about spiritual quotient, please? Because in fact I was not so quite understanding the dimension of that quotient and the deep inside of what you mean about the spiritual.
When we talk about spiritual quotient, let us go to the term spirit. And then we talk about the soul. Basically, it is one aspect or one sort of trait or characteristic of that would be, to my mind, that between what we think and what we speak, between what we feel and what we think, because that feeling comes with a spark from the mind, and there is often a disconnect between what we are thinking inside and what we are speaking outside. Let us say we don't like a colleague of ours, but we are somehow put on a 10-hour flight to New York along with him. So how do we sort of not get stressed about it? Spiritual quotient being high would basically mean that the person has achieved a higher level of equipoise or equanimity, the term that I explained. I mean, in simple terms, that's how I would put it. There is a lot of literature available on this, and I'm sure I have not answered your question.
Yeah, you answered. Thank you very much.